Hey, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast.
My name's Cameron,
I'm Billy.
and we're brothers.
We are brothers from the same mother.
Her name is Sherry.
That's also your girlfriend's name, too.
It's very weird. It takes some adjusting.
Freud was right.
It's a Freudian concept. Is that what they call it?
It's
Freudian theory?
Yeah. Well, I know more about, like, Freudian slips. Like, when you're like, oh hey, nice to boobs. You know? I mean, meet you.
I think that's something you could stand up for. Be nice to boobs. A Freudian slip is like when you have to conceal a lie and somebody asks you a question, you just slip up on it.
Well, a Freudian slip is like when you accidentally say what you're thinking.
It's like, hey, I slept with Bobby. Don't tell anybody.
No.
And then someone's like, hey, what's up, man? It's like, she slept with Bobby. I didn't mean to say that.
Kind of. It's more like if you walk up to a girl or something like that and you just notice how big her breasts are and you're just like, wow, like those are nice boobs, but I can't say anything about it because it's rude. And so you're like, hi, it's nice to meet you. I'm Billy. And then you're like, it's like, oh, nice to meet you. I'm boobs. I mean, Billy.
But so mine kind of exists as a sort of thing because like it's on the back of your mind. You don't want to spit it out, but you accidentally do.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, this is a great introduction to the podcast here. Immediately talking about boobs. So there goes the female demographic.
Yeah. Well, maybe that could be the name of our podcast, the Boob Podcast.
I don't think that's going to spin well. I think that's going to really limit our demographic.
The Boobcast.
Oh, yeah. Basically what we're getting at here is we don't have a name for this podcast, and we're hoping that it will come up organically in this podcast or in the future, and we can capture that moment.
Yeah. We were just deciding, like, you know, we were trying to think up a name before we were going to record, and then I was like, you know what? Let's just record and come up with ideas on the fly. You know, that'd be a good introduction to the first podcast.
We'll just rahole with it.
Rahole. We thought Squidward Knows. That was one.
Yeah. Squidward, Knows. Okay. But anyway, I mean, my idea earlier, because I was working in an office and I was kind of thinking about the fact that we were going to be doing this podcast later on in the afternoon. And I told Billy, hey, let's just think of some questions for each other to kind of, you know, lighthearted questions to spin up conversation. But the issue that he kind of brought up and I agreed with is that we grew up with each other all our lives, so we know everything about each other.
Yeah. Like what I was saying is that if it were anybody else sitting in on this podcast, I'd be like, I'd have a ton of questions to ask them, but But with you, I don't have any questions to ask you because I know everything about you pretty much.
Yeah, we grew up together. We fought a lot growing up, and then we became best friends all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's weird. You were good friends with our sister.
Yep.
And then you guys bullied on me. And then somehow throughout the time,
she and I had a falling out.
Yeah.
And you're closer with her.
I'm getting closer.
Yeah. You're not nearly as close as we are, I don't think.
No, definitely. I don't think I ever will be either.
No, it's a little tough because,
the distance.
Yeah, we're like an hour away from each other. She's out of state. So.
Yeah. And plus, too, like, you and I just have so much in common, and her and I only have, like, some things in common.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I think back to how we used to always fight. And the thing, I feel at least, the thing that brought us together is kind of a small thing, realistically, but it was Bayside.
Yeah. Bayside was definitely a huge thing that brought us together. Well, music in general.
Because we used to argue with each other. Like, I used to listen to, like, Chiodos and Census Fail, and I think at the time you didn't like that. You were turned off to it, and you liked more of the Disturbed and System of a Down type.
I do remember having that phase. I was deeply into, like, 36 Crazy Fists and Disturbed.
Oh, I didn't know you got into them that much. I liked them.
Yeah. I remember how Mom used to be an extreme couponer?
Yeah.
That could be a story that we talk about. But
yeah, she was
remember
great.
how we used to spend, like, hours at CVS? Yeah. I remember one time it was me, you, and Mom in CVS for like 4 hours, and all I did was just listen to 36 Crazy Fists the entire time.
I think
just jamming hard in that pharmacy.
I think the reason that I downloaded that, I don't think we should say last names when we reference people that we know, but Casey and Kyle used to they used to always tell me about 36 Crazy Fists, so I downloaded. I think they gave me their album, and I tossed it on the computer, and then you probably just ended up with it because when Mom got you a podcast or a iPod,
I just downloaded that everything that was in the iTunes
computer.
library. Yeah,
and I had a bunch of stuff from Pure Volume. There's a lot of bands like The Dangerous Summer. I had one of their songs.
I
on
love
there.
them,
but yeah, I didn't know you actually got into 36 though.
Yeah,
we never really talked about music until we actually started to relate in music because we always just argue about it.
Yeah, well, what I remember back in the day, our differences in music were more like you were into the Devil Wears Prada and the Black Dahlia Murder and like
screaming stuff,
Despised Icon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was never into that heavy stuff. I got into Devil Wears Prada for like a little bit.
Yeah, they weren't nearly as heavy as Black Dahlia Murder.
But Chiodo, Census Fail, and like Paramore and stuff like that, and Bayside, those are bands that like we both agreed on.
We picked up on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember when I first got into Chiodos, I think you were still kind of you were standoffish to it a little bit because of the style that it was.
Yeah.
But then you got more open minded to it. But Bayside was really the band where you came into my room to talk about music, and it wasn't like that's bullshit. Turn it off. You're like, this band's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, they are awesome. So that's why we actually have matching tattoos.
Yeah,
which
we
is
have the Bayside bird on our arm.
Bayside logo. Remember that one time when they did the April Fool's video? And
No.
They said that the logo got taken by a phone
Oh,
company.
yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. That was like a year or two ago, right?
No, that was a few years ago.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm
It
pretty
doesn't
sure.
feel like it was that long ago.
Pretty sure it was a few years ago, but we were both freaking out because we both had the logo tattooed on our arm.
Yeah. I was like, no matter what, like either way, it's going to be a brother tattoo.
It's going to mean
but,
something.
Oh, man.
It's going to mean something either way. But yeah, for people that don't realize, a while ago, Bayside had an April Fool's joke where they uploaded a video where it was very sentimental. He was like heartbroken.
Yeah.
He played it off very well, where he basically said that they never copywrote the logo and that a Mexican telephone company had taken the logo and they
It was a Mexican telecommunications company.
Oh, and they could no longer use it. I remember thinking, I was like, that's a weird logo for a telecommunications company.
Yeah. But what a well thought out April Fool's joke.
Yeah, and then they said
They did that. They performed that
and
so
then they
well.
said that they'll be releasing the new logo that later that week or something, and it was just the ICP logo, like the hat.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah.
The hatchet person.
That juggalo. Is that a juggalo?
No,
I mean,
a juggalo is the fan.
Well,
It's
I
just
know.
like
I know that juggalos are the
It's
fans.
just like a hatchet guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who are we to assume who he likes in music?
Yeah.
He could be. He's the logo for ICP. Doesn't mean he likes ICP.
Yeah. Maybe that's the reason why he has a hatchet. It's because he wants to like fight.
Fending off the juggalos.
Yeah.
And juggalettes, I think.
I don't know.
Remember? Did you watch the Workaholics episode where they went to the,
Yeah.
the gathering?
Yeah. Oh man.
That was great. That's a good show. I
Yeah.
haven't watched that show in forever though.
It's ending or ended. Did you know that?
Really? No, I did not know that.
Yeah. It's either on its last season or it's going to
over.
have one more season.
That props to them though. They started from YouTube.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
They made YouTube videos together, and then they picked up a deal with I think Comedy Central directly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're all the
Yeah, good
producers
for
and
them.
directors of that show and everything.
They totally deserve it.
Yeah, they did well. But anyway, so I Billy didn't really come up with any questions because he didn't really know. I came up with some. And full disclosure, I listened to the SourceFed podcast and Table Talk a lot, and I kind of just took inspiration from there, and I think that helped me more.
I watched a lot of SourceFed videos this morning. I'm getting slowly more and more into SourceFed.
I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
They're really funny.
Yeah.
But anyway, one question. I think this was actually in an episode that I was listening to earlier, but it is. I don't know. It might have been indirectly this, but I just drew this from it. What is like one fear that you had when you were younger that completely consumed you? In retrospect, completely crazy fear. You should have never had
it. Probably ghosts.
That's a pretty simple one.
Well, I can't really think of anything that I was super, super afraid of as a child.
Really? I had some weird ones. Like for a while, there was somebody, I think we were living in Olean at the time, and somebody had died in the area. They had a seizure and they choked on their tongue.
Are you
died.
serious? I don't remember that at all.
It happens quite often, but I just remember I didn't correlate the fact that they had a seizure and choked on their tongue. I just thought, man, they had a seizure and they choked on their tongue, and I thought of them as both separately deadly things.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I had this irrational fear that like I was so afraid to put my tongue towards the back of my mouth because I thought I was going to choke and die immediately.
Huh.
I couldn't sleep at night because I was afraid that I was going to fall asleep and accidentally choke on my tongue.
Wow, that's really weird.
Yeah, I was hoping.
It makes sense though.
I was hoping that you'd have an irrational fear like that.
Not anything off the top of my head. I can't think of anything that I was super afraid of as a child. I mean, I was such an adventurous child. I was the one I was always taking risks. I shouldn't say I was the one because we all took risks, but like I was
definitely
really,
more conservative.
I was definitely more fearless as a kid.
Yeah.
It seems like as I've grown up, I've gotten more irrational fears.
Yeah, even socially, like when I had my groups of friends, remember when like I used to skateboard down at the skate park and you'd always want to tag along?
Yeah, and you hated that. And in retrospect, I can understand.
I did a little bit. I really, at the time, for some stupid reason, really wanted to impress the kids that I was skating with.
Yeah.
Like Zach. It always seemed so cool to me. I just
Oh,
said
yeah.
the last name, but
Yeah.
either way, he always seemed so cool to me, and he was so good at skating. I was like, man, I really want to impress him.
Wait, you just said that his last name.
I know. I just said that I said that.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I just said a last name. My bad. We'll bleep it out.
Yeah. Okay.
But I always used to want to impress people like him and stuff because they were so good at skating and it just seemed so grown up, compared to like me, and we're in the same grade.
And I was like in the basketball court next to
Yeah,
you
you used
guys,
to bring
just
that big red ball,
Yeah.
throwing it around in front of us and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this kid's so embarrassing right now. That's
Yeah.
my brother. But then they kind of latched onto it. They liked it.
Yeah.
They were like, Billy and his big red ball.
Yeah. And that, like, I wasn't afraid of, like, you know.
I know that's what I'm saying. Socially, you didn't care about getting in the mix.
Yeah.
I feel like you actually were trying to force yourself into the mix.
I definitely, well, definitely, yeah. But I feel like that's a little brother thing.
Yeah,
I think any little brother tries to, like, gain acceptance of his big brother and his friends and stuff
It's
like
just
that.
such a funny dichotomy, though, because for me, I was being so, like, careful, like, walking on eggshells. Like, I really need to impress these guys. And you were like, I'm just going to chuck this big red ball in for them and see what they think.
yeah. Yeah. I remember that one time that we stayed at, what's his name's house in Cuba.
Joe.
There's another last name.
another bleep. But yeah, his house.
Yeah,
remember his dad?
Well, I was gonna get to it. I was gonna say that, like, pretty much I went to the house with you and Mom to drop you off, and then I was like, I want to stay, even though I don't even know him.
I was like, come on.
Yeah.
Mom's like,
be nice.
He's gonna stay. If you can have friends with Billy too.
Yeah, and I was like, come on, let me stay.
I think Mom thought you were friends with Joe too.
Yeah, I just knew what
Who
his
he
name
was.
was. Yeah, like, that's all I knew.
Because I think it came off to Mom like, Joe's my friend too. I want to stay, and she's like, Cameron, you can't just choose the friend as yours.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway,
Joe was cool with it, though.
I ended up staying, and we had a pretty fun night together. I mean, we caught lightning bugs in the field.
I
next to his
specifically
house.
remember we were all wearing denim jeans.
I don't remember that.
I specifically remember for a particular reason. I remember this. We were all wearing denim jeans down all the way to our pants, or all the way to our shoes. So full-fledged pants, right? And we're chasing fireflies. I'm building up to this for a reason.
What other kind of denim jeans are there?
I just want to make sure that I'm clarifying they're
All
not
right.
shorts in any way.
Okay, so they go down to our ankles.
Yes, and
Maybe even a little past.
and we were chasing lightning bugs, and one landed on your pants, jeans, and Joe just yells out, "It's on your shorts!" And I just remember it was so
Yeah,
funny because
yeah.
none of us were wearing shorts at all.
That's right. I do remember that.
And I remember I was like, man, vice versa. That's like I can get that. Like if you're wearing shorts and someone's like, "Oh, it's on your pants," it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
But vice versa made no sense to me at all. And I just
Yeah,
remember
that's
that
pretty funny.
that stood out to me like crazy.
That's more like it's on your longs.
It's on your swimming trunks. But yeah, and then his dad.
Yeah, the next day, I slept on the couch. Did you sleep in the living room?
I
or
think
did
I
you
slept
sleep?
on the floor of the living room. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I slept on the couch, and I woke up that morning, and his dad. I don't know what was going.
His dad definitely has
some sort of mental issue,
like a mental retardation of some sort. So I want to kind of talk about this lightly. It's not
yeah.
really something.
Well, I'm not saying anything bad
Yeah.
about it. It was just a very odd experience to
it
have.
was definitely very weird, and I was borderline concerned. I was very confused and concerned at the time.
Yeah, I didn't know how to react.
But explain what happened.
Okay, so I woke up. I don't know if it was right when I woke up or just like a little bit later, but
I think it was a little bit later. Like we were waking up and just kind of like talking.
like getting ready for breakfast or something like that.
They were talking about going to the lake nearby or something.
Yeah, and then his dad comes out, and I'm laying on the couch with my blanket over me, and he comes up to me. I don't know this guy. This is the first time I've ever met him in my life.
The
And he's
first
just
time we've
like-
ever encountered him because he was not there the previous night when we went to sleep.
Yeah.
So this is our first introduction to this guy.
And he's just like, blanket monster. And he starts like tickling me. And I'm like, and he doesn't stop for a while. Like
I know you were getting really like upset, and he just was not stopping. He could not read your social cues at all.
Yeah. I was like, whoa. I didn't know how to react. And he's just like, blanket monster.
And then like his mom, I guess what made it the weirdest was how his mom reacted.
I don't remember how she reacted.
She was like freaking out. She's like, "Stop it! Stop! He wants you to stop!" And,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That really dramatized what was going on. More
Yeah,
and more.
definitely.
That's when I got like concerned. I was like, "Man, she's not okay with this."
You're right. Now I do remember that now.
That's what triggered my concern, I think.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I would have just been like, "Oh, this guy's a little excessive," but whatever.
Anyway, but yeah, regardless, I don't have any irrational fears.
And
Let's
so
go
that was
back to
obviously in the summer then, because we were chasing the fireflies.
Yeah.
I remember going there in the winter as well. I feel like you were there snowboarding with us. Did you not do that
Where?
at Joe's house?
I don't think I was there. Maybe
Really?
I was there.
We snowboarded off of his roof down to the ground. And I remember like it seemed so high to me, but the snow like made it so soft.
I might have been there, but my memory is vague at that point.
Yeah, it's crazy trying to think that back that far. It's not really realistically that far. Like it's probably 8 years, 9 years, maybe 10. But like
I actually, It was probably it was around 10.
Around 10
because
years
I was
ago.
probably in middle school.
Yeah, and I it's weird how the little details escape me.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea where I slept. I remember those things vividly, but I have no idea. I feel like I slept on the living room floor, but I could have slept on his bedroom floor. I feel like I actually probably did. I don't know.
I think that you did. I think I was the only one in the living room.
This isn't interesting. We
Yeah.
should
Well,
talk about something
regardless.
else.
Yeah, I was gonna say it. Regardless, it
Okay.
doesn't matter.
So that was my first question. That
Oh
really.
wait, there was an irrational fear of Chucky.
Oh,
Although
there's
that's
triggered for a reason.
that's not an irrational fear. That's a rational fear. Chucky's
And
freaking
because
creepy, but it was
you were
horrible when I was a
in
kid.
our bedroom in Olean. We had our computer in our dining room, and it was in the back right corner, essentially, when you're looking at it.
Well, that okay. I know what you're about
was
to
that
say.
after the fact?
No, that happened because of my fear of Chucky. It wasn't what made me afraid of
Okay.
Chucky.
She just did it because she knew about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell
well,
the story
anyway,
though.
So our computer was right in the corner, and in that corner was a window. So, like, literally directly to your right when you're on the computer is you can look outside to our backyard. And directly above that, upstairs, is a window in the exact same location of our house
It's like
upstairs.
it's like perfectly parallel, 2 stories up.
Yep. And my mother thought it'd be a funny idea. I didn't realize. I never really cared enough, I guess, to know that she was aware of the fear of Chucky. I guess that is completely rational fear. That movie was designed to scare people.
And I was less than 10 years old.
Very young, yeah. So she tied a rope around a Chucky doll's neck, probably,
Yes.
and draped it down so that when he was on the computer, if he looked right out the window, Chucky was hovering there.
Well, what had happened was I was on the computer. I think I was just playing like Croc or something like that. Remember that game?
No, remember that Billy's Adventures
Yeah,
or whatever?
yeah. I might have been playing
We played
that
a bunch
too.
of computer games. We
But-
played a lot of Flash games on like the Disney website.
Or like Mega Man. We played a lot of Mega Man too.
I don't remember that.
But I was on the computer and I was sitting next to this window and she hung it right outside my window from the attic window and she swung it so it tapped against the glass.
Yeah.
And then I looked over and all I saw was Chucky hanging there.
Ah, man.
And I was down the block in like a minute. Like I was
Did
out
you
of
really
the house.
run outside?
Yeah, I ran outside and down the block.
I feel like this is another thing where I don't really remember memories that much. I feel like I don't think I was there, but I've heard the story enough that I feel like I was there. You ever have those situations
Yeah.
before?
Yeah, it's like one of those family stories that they talk about every time the family gets
Oh, man.
together.
Yeah. Like mom always wants to bring up Frady Billy.
Oh my god, yeah.
I don't even know why that was such a thing.
I don't even know why I was upset about it, but I was super upset about it. I think it was just because you guys were like
Fed
ganging
off of
up
it,
on me.
and we fed off of your being upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, me, my sister, and myself, Cameron. Just to clarify,
Should we you want to say her name?
Keaton.
Keaton. Her name is
But she had chosen the alias Keaton, so we will call her Keaton.
Yeah,
'cause
her
that's
name
what
is-
she's chosen.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that her name is never mind. Go
I
on.
never said her last name, so and she's got a different last name than us. So, but she and I, because I'm the older brother, Billy was substantially younger than the both of us. So Keaton and I are closer in age than you and I, right?
Yes,
I
by
believe.
like a year or two.
I think so. But we used to just run around the house. We weren't even scaring you, but we'd call you Frady Billy,
Yeah.
acting like you were afraid of things.
I think it was just the fact that both of you were name calling me
Yeah,
and
you
like
got
ganging
so
up on
upset
me. I
about it.
felt like an outcast.
Yeah, and we both just fed off of it. So immature nowadays to think about it. But we
Yeah.
just run around calling you Frady Billy, and
Well,
you'd be
that's how it
so
goes,
upset
man.
about it.
Yeah.
But to be fair, whenever Paris would roll around, you guys would gang up
Oh
on me.
yeah. Well, me and him have a closer relationship than you and him or Keaton and him.
Oh yeah, I know.
And
yeah.
well, I'm saying that was probably part of the reason.
Yeah,
Is because
yeah,
like
you guys
from
had
a child.
You guys had a deep-rooted relationship. I never really got along with him when I was younger.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was maybe 15 or 16 that I really got along with him.
And that's weird because he's actually older than both
Yeah.
of you.
Yes, yeah,
But he's actually the one that got me into System of a Down.
yeah, and probably Disturbed, and maybe not 36 Crazy Fists because that was just on the computer.
Yeah.
But yeah, he got you. I mean, he liked Dragon Force. He was a big fan of
Yeah.
all that, like Mayhem Festival style music and stuff. Or
Speaking of System of a Down, they're
Coming out
still
with a new
probably my
album.
favorite band, and they're going on tour.
they're coming out with a new album too.
Yeah, they actually I think they're on tour. That's
Yeah.
super exciting.
I never really got in like Serge Tankian. Is that how you pronounce it?
Serge Tankian.
Tankian.
It might be Tankian, but I've always said Tankian.
I mean, he's definitely like an advocate for a lot of different politically charged and socially charged things.
That's his life.
Yeah, and I never really bought into it too much because whenever I think about that, I think of I don't know. There's a lot of artists that do that just because they know people will latch onto it. So it's kind of like a marketing ploy. And that's kind of just when I was younger how I always viewed him. I was like, he's just saying this stuff because people like it to hear it.
Yeah,
But-
it's easy to be skeptical. I
Yeah.
think that because of the amount of, I mean, he's definitely musically talented. Like,
Yeah, I never really cared for.
You
the
could just tell by the
though,
music.
too.
I mean, the music is so good that I might be talking a little bit too fast, but the
Rapid.
music is so good and so intricate that like you know that he loves the music and like loves being a musician and stuff like that. And I think he's just singing about what he's passionate about. You know what I mean?
I guess I never. It's like,
And I mean, it's
riding the coattails of things like Rage Against the Machine and stuff.
yeah, but I mean, even since like System of a Down has been broken up for years, but Surge has been politically active ever since then. So it's
yeah,
not,
and I nowadays I respect that part of him and being so passionate for that. But I just never really cared for the music. It was never really something that I latched onto.
it's a huge thing for me. I love him.
Shika.
Shiga.
It was one of the first guitar parts I ever learned how to play. But
All right,
anyway,
next question.
second question. Another source-fed stolen question. But to be fair, that show, they just have people asking questions on Reddit, Twitter, and YouTube. So we're really just biting off of what other people they're stealing anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, can you think of a time where you had either saved a life or your life was saved by somebody else?
Yes. Well, this story is going to sound like I'm bragging, and
You saved a life.
in a way, I didn't necessarily save a life.
Oh, sorry.
This happened probably a few months ago, actually. My high school sort of friend. He's a kid that I was like not super close with, but always on good terms with. You know what I mean? Like I used to say hi to him all the time. I borrowed like a World of Warcraft book from him and stuff. We used to talk when we saw each other, but we were never like close friends. And then we graduated. He moved out to like Indiana or something like that, or something that starts with an I, Illinois or something. I don't know. I think it was Indiana, but I hadn't talked to him in forever. And then I continued living my life. And this past year I moved to Dunkirk, and like I was going to a ton of concerts and stuff like that. And I went skydiving, and I'm just trying to make the most out of my life. And I would share pictures on Facebook and stuff. That's what social media is for. But I never, I was just, I don't know what. Regardless, I remember one day he called me up out of the blue, and it was very strange because
On the phone?
yeah, on the phone. He just called me, and I hadn't talked to him forever. So I was like, "Hey, dude, what's up?" And I was in Cuba. I was in a Dollar General parking lot, and the Dollar General was closed. It was probably like 11 o'clock at night. And I was sitting here talking to him on the phone. He told me this story about how I changed his life just by being me, essentially. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said that in high school, he always admired me. And he would like I would be in class like singing to myself or whatever. And he's just like, man, like I wish I was as cool as that kid and stuff like that.
Like having that confidence?
Yeah.
Was this guy in the same grade as you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he said that when he moved out of state,
He had nobody.
well, when he moved out of state, when like after graduation, he tried to reinvent himself, and he said that he tried to reinvent himself to be more like me, and I was like, wow, that's really flattering, man, because I didn't think that was like an inspiration to anybody. And then he said that because of changing his behaviors to be more like me, that's how he got his first girlfriend, and then he was dating her for a long time, stuff like that. And
It's like a real life, like fake Facebook profile.
yeah, I guess. But I wasn't like creeped out by it. I was just like,
yeah, it's flattering.
yeah. And then he told me that like he got diagnosed with lung cancer, and
Kidding.
yeah, and that's the reason why he called me, is to tell me the story, because he got diagnosed with lung cancer just a little while back. And I was like, oh man, like that is rough. I'm sorry, man. And I was like trying to comfort him and stuff like that. And he said that he'd made a lot of mistakes, and he hadn't lived like a very blessed life. He wasn't really too happy with his life. And so when he got diagnosed with lung cancer, he's like, this is karma. This is the way that things should be. I give up. And then he would see my Facebook posts constantly of just me at a concert, me going skydiving, me like trying to be positive and like spreading positivity and stuff like that. And he's like, you made me realize that there's so much more to life, and that life is worth living. So it's because of you that I'm getting chemotherapy and stuff like that. And I was like, holy crap. Like, I didn't know that I was having this much of an impact on somebody. And so, he started getting chemotherapy. I've talked to him since then. I've kept up, with him and like made sure I'll be like, how's it going? How's the chemo going and stuff like that. And he said that his
He's in remission, or
I don't know if he's in remission. He said that his tumor is now small enough to get surgically removed.
that's great.
Yeah, so things are going pretty good for him.
Good. Yeah,
But yeah, I guess
it's a very vain story.
I know, right? I can't tell that story without seeming like I'm bragging about it.
I know. I was thinking, man, did you ever like lift a car off anybody or anything?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah. Let me explain to you how I changed somebody's life. Okay? It's just completely mentally.
It was definitely inspiring, and I wasn't trying. See, like I wasn't trying or thinking that I was having an impact on anybody.
Well, what's interesting about that story is like he was, at the lower end. He saw you, wanted to be like you, lifted himself up, and then gave you this story, and then in essence probably lifted you higher than what you were before.
Well, that's what I was about to say, is because I was doing all this stuff for myself, not knowing that I was inspiring or affecting anybody else but me. And now that I know that I affected at least one person in the world that much, it inspires me to do more and like spread positivity and like love. And
now
like,
you got all the inspiration in the world. Just be the glutton that you want to be. Go
Yeah.
indulge in anything you want.
Yeah, for real.
And just use it as an excuse to say, hey, somebody out there is going to live off this.
Yeah. But, in a way, it is true, though.
I could see that, I guess, yeah. Yeah, you definitely have a lot more energy than I do. Just, like, I can't go to concert after concert after concert.
Yeah, this year was awesome for concerts for me. I was going to probably 2 a week for a few months. I went to probably 30 over the summer.
I think I went to 3 concerts this year.
Really?
We saw Noah Gunderson. He's playing again in April.
You and I
saw the same
Noah.
venue.
We should go see him.
Yeah, I think I want to take Sherry. We saw.
Are you saying instead of me?
No, both of us.
Oh, okay.
All 3 of us. But
I'm definitely more into Noah Gunderson now than I was back when I saw him. I wasn't doing
that was a very bizarre concert.
It was definitely the most like chillax.
There was like a restaurant with tables set up, and they had servers that would walk around during the concert asking if you wanted to do food or beverage.
Yeah, it was definitely classy.
Like never been anything like that. And it was not. It was very, because of the way it was set up, there was not many people there at all.
Yeah, there was. How many people would you say was there? It was probably like 50. Maybe less.
Maybe a little more than that. Because over towards the right, people were piled up a little bit. They weren't all at individual tables. But
even still, for a concert,
yeah.
Holy cow!
And we got there late too, and we got pretty decent seats. We actually sat with a random lady.
Yeah, and the only reason we did that is because I had the guts to go up to her and be like, "Hey, are we allowed to? Can we sit here
with you?" Because otherwise, we'd have to sit way in the back. It was still kind of in the back, but she was nice.
Yep.
And we saw Hands Like Houses. You were there for that as well.
Oh yeah, that was an awesome show.
Yeah, they killed it. I can't remember who else I saw. I had to have seen somebody else. I think I saw. I don't know. I think that was probably it actually for the year. No, I had to have seen other concerts. I don't remember though.
I would go through all my concerts, but it would be this entire podcast.
Forever.
Yeah.
Going beyond that though, so never lifted a car off anybody. Never had your car lifted off of you.
I've never been that strong.
They looked like strong hands to me.
Nobody ever necessarily saved my life, but I did have like a pretty close to death experience.
When you flipped your car?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I was driving. It was the middle of the night, and that was back. That was back before. Well, that doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. But I was driving in the middle of the night, and I saw this possum in the road. I was flying. I was going like 80. It was down the Haskell.
Now, you swear you weren't texting?
I wasn't texting.
Man, I could have swore you were texting.
No, I assure you that was one. I did lie about something, and I'll get to that. Okay. I did lie about something about that wreck that I've come forward now and like told the truth to like mom and dad.
Okay.
But I promise I wasn't texting. Right. What had happened was, that bus turnaround down the road?
Yeah.
I drove down to that bus turnaround. I texted there, and then I came back, and I was going to mom and dad's, and I had my phone underneath my leg, like in between the leg and the seat, and but I wasn't texting. And then I was driving, and I saw this possum in the road, and I was flying. I was going like 80. I was going way too fast.
Yeah, you used to drive. Do you still drive like that?
No. Yeah, ever since I got my ticket here in Perry.
Oh man, yeah,
dude.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, I've slowed down since. But I saw this possum, and usually I would just like nail it, or like I was going way too fast to like try to swerve and like out of the way. I had to either like nail it or.
Was this winter?
It was either fall or spring.
Okay.
It was November.
So
No, it
chilly.
was November.
Okay.
Um, the possum looked me right in the eyes. It got to me. That 1 second, it looked me right dead in the eyes, and I was like, I cannot hit this sucker. So I swerved, and then I lost control, flipped my car, and
Into the ditch.
yeah, and I was completely upside down.
And you lost your phone for a while.
Yeah, my phone actually went in underneath the steering wheel and into the inside of my car.
Really?
Yeah, like the cover on the bottom of the steering wheel came off when I flipped it. My phone flew through the hole and then into the innards of my car.
Like under the hood, you're saying?
Yeah,
Wow.
like into the dash.
Hmm.
But yeah, and then my car started filling up with water a little bit. I mean, it wasn't definitely not enough water to fill up my car.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't going to drown or anything like that, but windows from the creek, from the ditch I was in, started like seeping in, and there was no light, and it was the middle of the night, so I literally had to I couldn't see anything, so I had to feel my way to find a door handle, and all the doors were jammed because of the ditch.
Yep.
And I ended up squeezing my way out of the back passenger side door.
You found a nearby house, right?
I walked probably like a quarter of a mile, maybe half a mile to the nearest house, and asked to use their phone. And my dad the other day, he told me that the guy that I talked to ask to use the phone, he's dead.
Wow.
Yep.
I don't know how he knows these things.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Because how does he? He's always telling me details about our neighbors, but I've never seen him actually talking to them. He must in some fashion.
Yeah, I don't know.
But what was the thing you lied about?
I lied about seeing a possum. I told him and the cops that I saw a deer.
Well, that's a weak lie, man. You were building it up like it was gonna be something juicy.
Well,
You're like it was a different species.
I wasn't trying to build it up. I was just saying I did lie about something. Because if I said that I mean,
You thought a possum wouldn't be grand enough to cause something like that?
I know that Dad, he used to be a lot more strict and like mean than he is nowadays.
Yeah.
I know that if I told him I saw a possum and I flipped my car because I couldn't hit it, he'd be like, "Are you?"
Yeah,
because
he always preaches if you see a small animal, hit it. Don't swerve off the road.
Yeah, but if it was a deer, that's a different story.
Yeah,
And it's also
especially
more,
in that little sunfire
it's also more likely because Haskell's just always
covered in deer.
Yeah, there's always deer.
I was gonna say something and I don't remember what it is now, but yeah, nobody saved your life, but that was a near death experience, which is we all kind of have those. I had a near death experience. I guess I'll
Tell me about it. I was gonna ask you.
Chime in. It's actually it's kind of mellow. It's not like that. It's not like anything big like that. But when I lived in Silver Springs when I was a child. Silver Springs, New York. Because there's a Silver Spring, Maryland, I think. But and I used to just ride my bike all over town because back when I was a kid, those were the types of things you did. You had the N64 and riding your bike around town. And I used to ride my bike a lot before I got my N64. And there was one hill. I mean, all towns have these types of hills where it's just a bunch of little offshoot streets, kind of intersecting with one downward hill. Like there's a road that just goes down a steep hill. There's just a bunch of intersecting roads, a bunch of side streets. And I just whipped my bike down that all the time, that road, because it was such a fun hill to ride. And I remember flying down that hill one time. And I don't know if there was no stop sign on one of these intersecting roads, but a truck crossed the intersection. In my head, I mean, it's probably exaggerated at this point, but when I was probably like 12. No, I was probably like 8 or 9, actually. And no, I couldn't have been. It had to have been around 11 or 12. But in my head, that truck was like 3 feet. I passed. It was 3 feet away from my back tire. Like I just whipped in front of the truck. So I saw the truck.
How fast do you think the truck was going?
I mean, it couldn't have been going faster than 35. I mean, in town. In my head, though, it was like 50.
Yeah.
when I was experiencing it, because
it was going 100. I was going 100.
And then Jason Statham showed up. It was very interesting. I mean, I've built it up over the years because I can remember it. But
yeah,
that was. I mean, I've had near-death experiences. I actually had another one where I was choking on a mozzarella stick.
Wow.
You ever have that happen when you go to like swallow cheese, but
it doesn't like break apart.
Yeah.
It just like stays as a string down your throat.
And I remember Mom was out shopping. Bill was watching us, our stepdad.
Yeah.
Well, my stepdad, his father, Billy's father, hence the name. And he was watching us, and at the time, he was like kind of like a what do I do with kids type thing,
Yeah.
Because I was very young, obviously choking on a mozzarella stick. But I started choking, and I just remember him just eyes like, wide open, just watching me. And then I swallowed. I was like, oh, God. He's like, don't ever do that.
Don't ever choke.
Yeah.
What do you think you're doing?
And I just remember, like, for the next few hours being like, man, I really got to get the reins on myself and not choke anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I really thought it was my fault.
He was good at doing that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
he was. I was like, man, I got to, come on, Cameron, get it together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember he was very scared, but I was fine.
That's kind of funny in retrospect, but I can imagine how scary that must have been as a little kid.
Oh, man.
For you and for him.
Dude, I don't know if Mom ever talked about it, but you know the safety pops, the suckers that have the loop so you can't choke on them?
Yeah.
Choked on it. Mom freaked out.
How?
I just swallowed the whole thing.
Are you serious?
Yeah. But luckily, it's a safety pop, so Mom got a grip on it and yanked it out.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember that. That was happening in the backseat of the car, and it feels like the same day to me just because being in the backseat of the car as a kid, like, it's all the same thing for you. But Mom went to, get this, these don't exist anymore, a video rental store.
Whoa.
Well, they still do. Family Video in Olean still exists.
I used to work there.
Yeah. But I was in a car seat, so I was very young. And she went to the movie rental place. And back then, like, you walk around for a while trying to find your movie. I was in the car. Probably shouldn't have been left in the car.
How old were you?
Like, probably 3 or 4.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't have been left in that car.
But in my head, she was probably shopping around, but she probably just was dropping the movie off.
Maybe.
But she was in there long enough to where I was sitting in the back seat, and I could see out the front windshield just enough to see the hood just burst in flames.
Are you serious?
The car burst into flames while she was in the store. And I was in that car while Mom was in the store.
Was that the teal Beretta?
No. That thing never burst into flames. She just got rid of it. She upgraded that Tahoe. No, I don't know what vehicle this was. I was 3 or 4. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Valid.
You weren't even born yet, probably.
I was probably just born.
Just born. But you weren't in the car with me, so you probably weren't born yet. So I might have been younger, even.
Yeah.
But I remember it very vaguely, obviously for the age. But the car just burst into flames. And it's in my head, right when the car burst into flames, Mom appeared and the fire department appeared.
Really?
Right when it happened in my head. Obviously, that isn't actually how it happened. But yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah.
No wonder why you remember it. That was probably a very distinctive time for you.
Yeah. Well, I just remember being like, man, something's happening. Kind of like September 11th.
Yeah.
When I did not have a necessary gauge on what that actually meant.
Yeah.
I just remember being like, man, why is this building so important to people? But
yeah, I remember a lot of people freaking out about it, but I was in first grade. I didn't understand.
And I was in
I didn't
5th grade.
grasp
I was in
the
Miss Sirokis's class.
Oh, I loved her.
We can say her last name because she's a teacher.
Yeah, I was in Miss Marcus's class.
She got married, didn't she? And she got a different name later on?
Marcus?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you had another
Actually,
teacher.
when I worked in Cuba at the
Miss
casino,
Hirsch or
she used to Hirsch. She's the one that got married.
You had a crush on her.
Oh, huge crush.
But anyway, I was in Miss Sirokis's class. Jacqueline, we'll just say first name only, was handing out her birthday cupcakes. And then they turned the TV on. I remember the teacher next door. It was a big classroom, and it was divided down the middle with one of those pull dividers.
Yeah.
The other teacher came over crying about how her dad was in the building.
Oh, really?
But he was out to lunch when it happened.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that's
But
crazy.
she didn't know that for hours because there's no communication.
Yeah.
There wasn't really cell phones at the time. I guess there probably was, but not en masse. Everybody had them.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the time it didn't click in my head the importance of all the lives that were in the building. Like I knew people were dying in there, but I thought people were freaking out of their building, not over the deaths. But now obviously I understand the weight of it all. But
Yeah, same.
But anyway, I mean, did you have any other near-death experiences?
Yeah, I have one more, but I don't know how entertaining of a story it is to listen to. But if you want to hear about it, I'll tell you. You want to hear about it?
Guys, you want to hear it? Yeah, I guess go
All
ahead.
right. Well, remember Toma?
Yep.
Okay. Well,
I was just about to say his last name, but no.
you're so bad at that, dude.
I know.
The No Last Name podcast. That'll be our name.
That doesn't. I don't think that really works.
The No Name podcast. Anyway, back when I was living with him and I were roommates. He got a new truck, and he, for some reason, the first thing he wanted to do with it is just start go Bajan and just like wreck it.
I remember you were telling me about this because I got my Jeep not long after.
Yeah, and so this was like winter time. Yeah, it was like the middle of winter.
Those backlogging roads, right?
Yeah, and we did it multiple nights. We'd go Baja and just like that's what he called it, just Baja, where basically
Makes
like
me think of that Taco Bell drink, Baja Blast.
yeah, dude, I love that.
Ugh.
But he would drive down these back roads and through like fields and stuff like that, and in the middle of the night, and just go like 80, and the roads were icy and stuff like that, and we just like skid out and like lose control and like do donuts in the fields and stuff like that, and it was nuts. He would drive, and I would either be in the passenger seat, or I would most of the time I would like sit on the windowsill, like I'd roll my window down, sit on the window, and have my arms like on the roof.
Why?
Because it was fun.
Okay.
I would feel the wind and stuff like that.
We are infinite.
Yeah, kind of like that. I remember one time I was
wallflower.
I was in the bed of the truck, and he was like whipping around, and I was just like holding on for dear life.
Probably is pretty fun, but definitely dangerous.
Yeah, but YOLO. Anyway,
Drake said that once.
the last time we went Bahaing is when I almost died. It was me, my girlfriend at the time, and then Toma, and we were driving around in the middle of the night. And we went down this trail that we'd never gone down before. It was actually like a logging trail. And
Do you remember you and I going down in my Jeep? Was it the same road?
yeah, wasn't it because I showed you the spot?
Yeah, I think you did. You were like, yeah, Toma goes down here, so.
Yeah, I think that might be the actual spot.
Okay.
But we like I said, we were just going really fast and like swerving and stuff like that on purpose, just to like skid out and like lose control.
Yeah.
And I was sitting out of the window. I had one arm in, that handle above the window that you hold on to.
Yeah, the oh shit handle.
Yeah, the oh shit handle. I was holding on to the oh shit handle with one hand, and then I had my other hand out on top of the roof, and I had my feet on the passenger seat, like where your butt's supposed to go. Mm-hmm. And I was just chilling there, and he was going, as fast as you can go down these back roads. And he lost control, but I knew this time it was going to end badly. We were surrounded by all these trees, and it just felt wrong. Like, it didn't feel like every time we lost control, I was always like scared, but I just went with it anyway. But there was something in my gut. I was like, man, I got to hop back in right now or else something bad's going to happen.
I know what you're referring to, that feeling. And part of me wonders if it's just feels like that after the fact because something bad happened, though.
It maybe.
Like
in retrospect,
it's like a subconscious, like, oh man, I knew it. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Well, the reason that I think it happened before, like not in retrospect, but before, like at the moment, was because usually I wouldn't hop back in. I would just like sit on the windowsill, and like even when I was scared, I would just live through it. You know what I mean? Just like continue
But
sitting.
This time
out there.
you tucked away in the vehicle.
Yeah, this time I was like, oh shit. So I swung myself back in the moment we lost control. Like we hit like a bump or something like that, and it was super snowy and like icy, and we hit a bump. And his steering wheel went like completely sideways, and the back end slid out. And I was like, oh shit. I swung myself back in. The moment my head was through the window, we nailed a tree on the passenger side, and it skidded all the way down the passenger side of the truck.
So it would like, he probably yanked you out of the vehicle?
It would have flattened me like a pancake. Like it probably, I don't know if it would have like tore apart my body, like my torso from my legs, or like what. I would have either been dead or paralyzed with the speed that we were going and how hard we hit that tree. And it was split seconds between when I was in and when we hit that tree.
Did it do a lot of damage to his truck?
Yeah, it broke the passenger side mirror right off and then scraped down the rest of it and like dented it. And then, but we hit that tree, and with the force of hitting that tree, we ricocheted, flew right across the trail and hit another tree head on. And that's what stopped us.
Damn.
Yeah. And then
it wasn't like a beater truck either, was it?
It was a nice truck, and then it became a beater truck.
Yeah, why would he do all that?
That was when we stopped.
Typical country song, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was him though. He's very outdoorsy like that.
Yeah, I know he is.
But when we got back, I was excited. I didn't die, and so
you were like living off the high.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, I almost just died, man. And then
he's like, it's not funny.
Alana, my girlfriend at the time, she was like freaking out. She was like, oh my god, like you literally almost just died. And Tom was like, my truck.
There's a bunch of different mentalities.
Yeah.
You were embracing it.
Yeah.
Some were fearing it, and some were just upset.
Yeah. Well, Toma was afraid for his truck. He didn't even care about my life. Alana was afraid for my life. I was just excited.
Anyway, speaking of nearly dying, you want to kill the podcast?
Yeah, we have been talking for a while. We never came up with a name.
Nope.
I thought we were gonna choose a name during this podcast, but I guess not.
We'll make it the Finding a Name podcast.
I don't know about that.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Until next time, guys. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys.